practice, but is it good just to see him after what he went through, be able to, do something with a helmet out there?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I talked to him just a few minutes ago, and he was running and catching some balls, and with the trainers, and but yeah, he's making progress. I'll just put it at that.
Matt, I did ask you about him yesterday, and for him to be out there, what's realistic in terms of, I know you're going day by day, but do you not want to get your hopes up? Is that kind of the mentality, and just, because there are 3 games to go, and if you make the playoffs, maybe, or how do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd love to see him out there and cautiously optimistic at some point. I just don't know when that point will be.
What kind of good problem to have does it when he returns? You got Tucker now on the ascension. How much is that?
That'll be a great problem, Ryan.
Yeah.
When you have 2 tight ends that can complement, and not that the other guys can't. I'm not saying that, because I think Ben's done an outstanding job, and Josiah does a great job with the role that we ask him to do. And but I just think that you got two guys that you've seen the growth and development, I think, over the course of the season, and both those guys you can use in a variety of ways, and it'll be fun to be able to scheme up things for both of those guys, and they both have a little different play style, I would say, but I definitely think that having those 2 guys on the field, they can complement one another in a really good way.
Does that cause you to rethink the possibilities of your offense to accommodate those?
I would say with how Tucker's developed over the last few weeks, absolutely, you'll see a little different flavor maybe when we're in 12 personnel.
You were with their Carolina's coordinator with the Rams there for a year. What's kind of the hallmarks of his defense that you're going to face this week?
Yeah, he's done a hell of a job. You saw it a year ago in Denver, what he did there, and you see the carryover this year with a whole new group. I've got a lot of respect for Ejiro, just as a football coach. He's a great communicator. He's demanding. He holds guys accountable, and just got a ton of respect for what he's been able to accomplish. You see it on tape. They're very well coached. First of all, he's got a really good scheme. Nice wrinkles to it. I think they play very competitive, really on all 3 levels, and you definitely see just how hard they play. It jumps off the tape. So I think that's. I think they're 3rd in total yards right now, and I know they're top 10 in a lot of categories in yards per play and all that, and I think that specifically is a pretty telling category. So I think he's done a really, really good job there.
How similar are they to what you guys do on defense?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of the foundation is very similar. I think there's a few things they do differently, and certainly, I think just, whether it's there's certain things that you're going to coach a little bit differently, but I think a lot of the fundamental rules are very, very similar.
Hey,
How do you feel like Uron Jones got through the game, coming out and then back into practice this week?
How did I feel about that?
Yeah, how do you think he came through?
Yeah, I think he did a nice job. That was encouraging to see him get through it. I never felt like within the game that there was a point where in previous games it was like he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out, and there wasn't anything like that. Now we were going in there a little bit cautious, and we used him quite a bit on that first drive. I think he had like 8 carries or whatever. So we were a little bit mindful of that for the rest of the game, but it was never a point where you're going to call a play and he's not available. So that was really, really encouraging, and we know what he means to our football team.
Matt, I asked Jordan this, and I'm going to use the same phrase. I'm asking this cautiously. I'm not comparing these 2 people right now today, but I think you said something to Buck and Aikman along these lines too before the Monday night game, that you can see some glimpses of Devontae in Dontavion, and they said that you didn't want them to say that, but then they did it, and they did anyway. What do
Let's say it
you,
now.
what are the, when you look at him, and again, he's got 1,000,000 miles to go before he's in the same class as Devontae is, but what are some of the qualities he possesses that maybe remind you of Tay?
I just think it's that that short area quickness, being able to, you know, the way I like to, I guess, compare it is to crossing somebody over on the basketball court. Like, he's got that ability to play on his insteps, and he's got that short area quickness. You mentioned it. Yeah, I mean, he's got he's got a ways to go before he gets to that level. But I do think, like, as far as the skill set and all that you look for in a guy, you know, I think the sky's the limit for him, quite frankly. It's just, you know, it's about making sure that you take those steps, you know, especially being mindful. I would say it's going to be a huge off season for him, how he handles that time. And the one thing that is just the whole mindset that, you know, 17 had and has. That's one of the things that made him who he is. Obviously, he's got the ability in his body, and he's worked at it at a super high level. But you know, it's really the mentality, and that's going to be important for Wicks to up his game to the next level. I would say is just how intentional is he in the work that he puts in the off season.
Along those lines, the other thing that Devontae, besides his talent, was his football IQ is really high. And Dontavian, he missed most of camp, right? He had a hamstring and he had a concussion. Did you find something out about his football IQ that he was able to, because he played a lot for you early on. Did you find something out about his ability to process stuff when he wasn't able to practice and still was able to contribute?
Yeah, I think he's done a really nice job. I think it starts in the room with Jason Vrabel, the way he coaches those guys. And then I would say that whole group, it's been pretty cool to watch. Just all those guys push each other because they're all fighting for reps and fighting for balls and opportunity. So I think it's been a pretty cool dynamic to watch those guys push each other, and I think they're all better for it, quite frankly.
You know, we're asking about the possibility of two dynamic tight ends, a fifth-round rookie that's really ascended. Jane Reed's a war daddy. 3 months ago.
You like that?
There you go. Would you have thought that this was all possible to achieve with this group, how young they were this season?
Yeah, it's hard to, and you want to try to, you kind of want to just go through it and see where these guys are and continue to push them each and every day to be their best. And I think they've been receptive to that. But as far as like predicting, try to stay away, or at least I do, try to stay away from that.
He's broken a bunch of tackles. Speaking of Wicks, he's broken a bunch of tackles. What does he do so well in that regard, and what maybe the rest of your guys can do to kind of catch up from that perspective?
Yeah, I just think he's got a great mindset, and he's a competitive guy. That's obvious. He's made some very big plays for us, really, in multiple games. In terms of the one that comes to mind was in the Charger game. That was a huge play when he caught a stick route and turned up field. But you saw it a couple times versus Tampa. You've seen it in Pittsburgh. Like, this guy, he's very strong, and he's really good with the ball in his hand.
There's a bit of a logjam in the NFC regarding the playoffs. Obviously, you guys have to win to even consider that. But are you watching other games at all?
No. I mean, we got to take care of our business, and first business at hand is, you know, a Carolina team that's coming off a big win versus Atlanta. So, you know, for us to look at anything other than that, I think we'd be doing a disservice.
What kind of progress has Christian made? Has there been any sort of lull in his progress? I think you were hoping you'd have him back.
I think Christian's made good progress, and you know, we'll see where he ends up. But yeah, I think matter of fact, I just talked to him as well, and I know he didn't run today, but he's been running, and so we'll see kind of where it goes.
It's been a tough season for Carolina, obviously, and then, as you said, they came off this big win. What was different in your film work? What did you see that was different for them to be able to finally get over that hump?
Well, I mean, it was obviously, their defense played really, really well. I think they held them to like 200 yards, Atlanta. And then for their offense, in those conditions, to take the ball and own it for the last 7 minutes of that game and go down and kick a field goal, I just thought that was a pretty resilient effort. That's one thing that just, like I said earlier, it stands out on their tape. It's just these guys are continuing to compete, and that doesn't always happen in this league, but you definitely see it on their tape. And that's a credit to the people they have in that building, their coaching staff. I know Taves pretty well as well, and I got a lot of respect for him, and I'm sure he's giving them a jolt.
From where your offense was at earlier on in the season, what have you liked from the growth that you've seen to the latter part of the season?
Well, I mean, that's expected, right? You expect if you're doing your job right and guys are doing their jobs the right way, you should see growth and development through the course of the season. I think we're far from a finished product, and we got to keep continuing to push. But I do think that's a really motivated group of guys in that locker room to try to prove themselves throughout the entirety of the season.